Welcome once again to the 18th of January 2018. This is News Tonight, and I'm Patricia Lokoma together with
Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma.
And we're here to take you through the details of this day's bulletin. Straight away into the technicalities of this bulletin, President Yoweri Museveni has said that a country's human resource is greater than any natural resource and must be nurtured and protected.
He said this, coupled with the unity and stability of our nation, is the best insurance for its people.
The president was addressing the First Special Forces Command SFC Army Officers Conference.
Now, the two-day conference hinged on patriotism, Pan-Africanism, societal development and transformation, personal development, healthy living and welfare.
President Museveni yesterday addressed the First Special Forces Command Army Officers Conference. The two-day conference hinged on patriotism, Pan-Africanism, societal development and transformation, personal development, healthy living and welfare at State House in Tebe. In his speech, the president said that a country's human resource is greater than any natural resource and must be nurtured and protected.
If the natural resources are important, how is it that a country like Japan, which has no oil, has no minerals, does not even have agriculture, it is just mountains, is one of the richest countries in the world? And China now, and South Korea, that's what I say in that essay. Why are these richer than Saudi Arabia, which has got a lot of oil? So I am cautioning you that you people, the human resource which you mishandle by putting in tribes, in religion, in what, is actually the greater wealth than even the natural resources.
He said this, coupled with the unity and stability of our nation, is the best insurance for its people. He said that patriotism and Pan-Africanism are key to prosperity, while integration will ensure security and a bigger regional market for our people.
You wealth creators, wake up. Don't allow your future to be led to be decided on by these bureaucrats, because for them, they don't understand when you are stuck with bananas which you cannot sell. When you are stuck with the fruits which you cannot sell, they're just getting salaries. But you, the wealth producers, you are the one who should come out and work for the unity of Africa, because it is the one which will help you to succeed in what you are doing.
The president also shared with the officers 8 of his publications that he has written over time, addressing various issues including economic integration to ensure prosperity, political integration for security, democracy, patriotism, Pan-Africanism, wealth creation, political education, and the welfare of security forces, among other things, to ascertain their understanding of the political and socio-economic situation.
There is no way an individual can be all right if he forgets to contribute to the all rightness of the whole society. This is what I was trying to say. Like when we were talking about smuggling, if you don't control smuggling, and yet you are a customs officer, you are a police officer, you are something, that means the government will have no revenue. Because the government has no revenue, it cannot pay the police. And because of that, there will be crime. And your property will be part of the victim.
He noted that a low level of political education breeds corruption. He said that once these facilities are available and proven to be of quality service, they would attract the civilian population to use them at a fee.
I've already talked about the issue of education. I would like you to revive SFC to take the lead in ensuring that we have got army primary schools, which are serving our children so that we don't have to pay for education. But they could also serve for the public where the public could pay. We can build our own hospital, and so that you have got well catered for health units at the unit level, but also at the command level, SFC command level, one hospital.
The UPDF Chief Political Commissar Brigadier Henry Matsiko said political education is the crucial work of every commander in security forces through inspiring those that they lead. The SFC commander, Brigadier Don Navasa, thanked the President and Commander-in-Chief for organizing a very wonderful conference which has re-energized the command's ideology. UBC TV, Harriet Nambi.
Welcome back from that story. Of course, that is President Yoweri Museveni meeting with the SFC bosses there. In a related development, President Yoweri Museveni has commissioned over 900 prisons officers comprising 706 warders and 213 wardresses. Now, Mr. Museveni, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Uganda Armed Forces, commended the leadership of Uganda Prisons Service for using the facility to nurture people into responsible citizens.
The pass-out of the prison officers took place at the Prisons Academy and Training School grounds in Luzira in Kampala. He noted that maintaining facilities like prison centers has saved the country from squandering resources that would otherwise be committed to training prisons officers outside.
He congratulated the prisons officers who had successfully completed 3 months training and also saluted the Commissioner General of Prisons, Dr. Johnson Byabashaija, and his team for concentrating on skills development, which he said is good for both the academy and the country at large. The President commended the prisons for the developmental projects, including the newly completed 480 housing units, and warned the graduates against irresponsible lifestyles.
State Minister for Internal Affairs, Honorable Abigail Kania, thanked the President for the good guidance, saying it has contributed to the institution's growth and development. The Commissioner General of Prisons, Dr. Johnson Byabashaija, appealed to the criminal justice system, especially the Directorate of Public Prosecution and the judiciary, to expeditiously try cases in order to reduce the remand prisoner population.
Fell on the path, and the birds of the air ate them. But some seeds fell on good soil, and they germinated and multiplied. So it seems the Uganda prisons is a good ground where my seeds fall and they germinate. Because I guided the forces, you are not donors, and your job is not poverty eradication for businessmen. Your job is to get houses for the soldiers and for the policemen and for the prison people. Now, when you use private contractors to build houses for the armed forces, I have calculated it, you end up becoming a donor to the business people. It is my pleasure to pass out the 706 warders and wardresses on my side, as President of Uganda, I look to you for long service. I don't want to hear that the people you passed out, some have been arrested for stealing, some are now sick in hospital because of malaria. I want you to serve Uganda for a long time.
Well, now moving on into the health sector, Prime Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda has hailed the visiting Director General of International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, Ambassador Yukiya Amano, for strong commitment towards supporting member states in the fight against cancer using cancer techniques such as the nuclear machine and radiotherapy.
Now, Dr. Rugunda was meeting Ambassador Yukiya Amano and his delegation at the office of the Prime Minister here in Kampala.
While receiving Ambassador Yukiya Amano, the Prime Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda said Uganda has over the years benefited from the services of the International Atomic Energy Agency through partnership, adding that Uganda's radiation regulatory infrastructure has greatly improved. Dr. Rugunda, on behalf of government, congratulated Ambassador Yukiya upon his reappointment as the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency.
You have supported our efforts to train our people over the years, and we want to work with you more in the areas of extending the services in the regions so that all of Uganda don't have calls of need or needs don't have to come to Kampala, but they can be in their regional centers and get quality treatment. I welcome you and your delegation. I thank you for the support that you have over the years given to us and that you continue to do. And the government of Uganda is more than ready to closely work with you in all the fields of development, of medicine, of peaceful use of energy, and other related issues.
The Premier thanked the agency for the prompt response and continued support towards the restoration of radiotherapy services in the wake of the breakdown of the Cobalt-60 machine in March 2016, adding that the radiotherapy services have now been restored at the Uganda Cancer Institute. The new Cobalt-60 radiotherapy machine will be commissioned tomorrow, Friday, at Uganda Cancer Institute.
I want to thank you that you expedited the process, and today we have an ultra-modern Cobalt-60 machine in place. It is not an old type of machine, it is an ultra-modern machine recommended by the International Atomic Energy Council that procured it for us, transported it, and supported its installation. Right Honorable Prime Minister, this machine became functional on the 4th of November, and to date we have given treatment to over 80 patients using this new machine that you will commission tomorrow.
The Director General, in his remarks, thanked government for the partnership and also pledged continued support to the government of Uganda towards strengthening the national infrastructure for nuclear safety, security, and safeguards.
The nuclear technology is very widely applicable for human health, and we are very happy to continue to work with you in this Cancer Institute and other areas. Training is the key. We are aware and following and assisting your country in your project to embark on nuclear power.
The agency provided technical assistance for the construction of the 6 new bunkers at the Cancer Institute to house the 4 linear accelerators and 2 high-dose rate brush therapy. Also present at the meeting were the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sam Kutesa, Minister of Health, Jen Acheng, and Minister of State for Energy, Simon Dijang, among others. This report was compiled by Apollo Munginda for UBC News.
And of course, in a related development, the Uganda Cancer Institute has finalized arrangements to commission the new radiotherapy machine, which is capable of treating over 100 people in a single day.
The Director General of the World Atomic Energy Agency, together with the Prime Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, will commission the new radiotherapy machine and other facilities under construction at the hospital.
Now, the new machine is an upgrade from the one that broke down 2 years ago.
The new radiotherapy machine at the Uganda Cancer Institute will be commissioned tomorrow, Friday, at the National Referral Hospital in Mulago. The official commissioning will be presided over by the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, together with the Prime Minister of Uganda, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda.
What we are doing tomorrow, we are launching the new cobalt-60 teletherapy machine in Uganda Cancer Institute. We very well remember that in March 2016, our own cobalt machine, which we are using in the country, broke down. And all along, the government of Uganda, Ministry of Health and Uganda Cancer Institute have been working tirelessly to replace furnish the services to the population. And here we are now, tomorrow 19th, we will officially open that machine to the public.
2 years ago, the old radiotherapy machine broke down, creating a void in cancer treatment at the Cancer Institute. Patients who needed the service were airlifted to Nairobi, Kenya, but with a new machine in place, this will be no more.
This is a very new machine. It's a modern machine compared to the old one. And we are going to treat around 80 to 120 patients. Currently, we are treating 80 patients. We are likely to certainly increase the number to 120. And we hope everyone will be pleased with this.
State Minister for Energy Simon Dujang inspected the new facility and checked on other facilities under construction at the referral hospital.
So as Minister in charge of atomic energy in Uganda, I've come to see what we are going to commission tomorrow. I'm happy with what has been installed here, and I'm looking forward to coming tomorrow with Prime Minister and Director General of the Atomic Energy Agency to commission this.
Radiotherapy is a treatment involving the use of high energy radiation to treat cancer. Almost half of the people with cancer have radiotherapy as part of the treatment plan. Samuel Senono, UBC News.
And of course, thanks so much, Samuel Senono, for that report. And it's from that story that shortly my colleague Patricia Lukoma will be interacting with one of our senior editors here, Javiona Francisco, to tell us more about that the radiotherapy machine. And that is after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back from that short break, and of course from that guest corner where Patricia Lukoma has been interacting with one of our senior editors, that is Francisco Avion, and they've been talking about the cancer machine, the radiotherapy machine. That is, of course, it comes as a welcome relief to so many Ugandans who have been, spending a lot of money going to Nairobi and so many other countries for cancer treatment. But now, moving on, communities around Chirudu and Kawempe hospitals have to continue enduring with sewerage outflow in the area.
Kampala Capital City Authority has made aware the Parliamentary Committee on Presidential Affairs of the incapacity to handle the excessive sewerage.
When the renovation of Mulago National Referral Hospital officially started 3 years back, services shifted to Chirudu and Kawempe Division health facilities. The health facilities got overwhelmed by high numbers from across the country. Ever since, sewage has become a menace to surrounding communities, causing fear of imminent outbreak of disease.
To also interact with the Ministry of Health. If they can't manage it, they return it back to the KCCA, and they do that. Because if there is no provision provided for KCCA to do the same, that means you have given out our people to die until you sit and think when and where to do that.
Kampala Capital City Authority, that seems to have no solution to the problem, has told the Committee of Parliament on Presidential Affairs that it has no capacity to handle the massive sewage.
We shall need to make about close to 15 trips. Now the cesspool emptiers that we have on site,
cannot handle that load to make those number of trips.
KCCA management is concerned that Mulago Referral Hospital is not living up to the agreement, requiring it to take full responsibility of managing the facilities.
As far as they are there, just like a tenant in a landlord relationship, any repairs that accrue, they're actually supposed to take care of them, including the sewage. But because initially when it occurred, we tried to place a hand by using cesspool emptiers from KCCA. But we realized we could not handle the cost which we actually incurred. And we told them that then you will have to, with time you have to cover it. So Mulago should take care of it.
The committee has left KCCA, Mulago and Ministry of Health to resolve the matter. Onyango Jackson, reporting for UBC TV.
Now turning to court, the International Criminal Division of the High Court has set 19th February to start hearing the case in which over 20 Muslims are accused of terrorism.
Now this was after prosecution informed court that all investigations are complete, though requested for more time to first review files after spending a long time on strike.
The accused in this case, who include among others Aisha Nakasibante, Mata Mude Ukenya, Hakim Kinene Mozamiru Kasauli, and Serunjoji Arafat Badru as well, Bukenya, are currently facing 4 charges ranging from murder, attempted murder, crimes against humanity and terrorism.
Now to this, the defense lawyer Friday Kagolo Robert says if they are ready for the hearing to prove the innocence of their clients.
To defend them in court, we think that these are just trumped up charges, and at the end of the day, justice will prevail.
Now, Kampala Capital City Authority has received 7 basic life support ambulances to improve emergency response and rescue service delivery in Kampala Metropolitan. The service had currently been given to Uganda Police Force.
Now, while handling the vehicles, the Undersecretary Ministry of Health, Segawa Ronald Jagenda, urged KCCA and the personnel to operate the ambulances to avoid being complacent and irresponsible to achieve positive results.
Farida Nafka reports.
In earlier times, emergency response and rescue services for accident victims in Kampala was offered by Uganda Police. But of recent, Kampala Capital City Authority has put a toll-free line of 912 offering this service to people in metropolitan Kampala. Ministry of Health has handed over 7 basic life support ambulances to KCCA under Mulago Kampala Capital City Authority project funded by the African Development Bank. They also signed a memorandum of understanding where Ministry of Health hands over the vehicles with trained ambulance crew and setting up policies and standards for managing them.
Bwana Idi, I want to thank you so much for coming. I wish you success. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, you should give away the first one now, should be driving out. Driver, please be at your station. If you're the transporting officer, make sure these ambulances are working. And if you're a financial officer, provide the money that's supposed to run.
KCCA will maintain them, pay the personnel and equip the ambulances.
Together, we shall not only provide ambulance services, but also educate the public about emergencies, strengthen accident and emergency units in health facilities, and the capacity for health research in emergency. Already assess the vehicles so as to plan to ensure that they are running. I know that we have a small budget that we have to incur, a small cost, especially with the tires, but we are committed to do that, to make sure that they are very well ready for the work that they're going to do.
The Director, Emergency Response and Rescue Services, Uganda Police, Joseph Mugisa, says purpose is to bring the service closer to the people. Kampala RCC Deborah Mbabazi promised to monitor the use of the ambulances.
Because the ambulances handed over to KCC are going to be decentralized, meaning that they will be closer to the people. It's a very good development in our city and in our country. And as police will be working closely with KCCA to ensure that the response is quick and precise.
Or how do you mitigate? Or how do you reduce? So the rescue teams should be on standby, should be responsive, should be sensitive.
The ambulance services will also reach areas of Entebbe and Wakiso. I'm Navka Farida and Gloria Gwitabinji reporting.
Welcome back, and this is News Tonight with me, Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma. You've forgotten your name. Patricia Lukoma is with me here. Now, let's continue. Winnie Mandela, the estranged wife to the former South African President Nelson Mandela, will receive an honorary doctorate of laws from Makerere University in recognition for her contribution to the liberation struggle of South Africa. Now, our reporter Philip Aguta has been following the events and, of course, the graduation ceremonies that are taking place at Makerere University, and filed the following report.
Makerere University has awarded Winnie Mandela from South Africa a honorary doctorate. Although Winnie Mandela's attendance and that of President Yoweri Museveni is still in doubt, this Friday she's being awarded for her freedom-fighting struggles.
I am back with you where I belong. This is now the right time to take your country. We shall use the same language the Boers are using against us. They know only one language.
Born on 26 September 1936, Winnie Mandela was born at Mbongweni village in the modern Eastern Cape, where she also started her early childhood school. Winnie later studied in South Africa's capital Johannesburg, where she graduated with a bachelor's degree in social works in 1953. While studying in Johannesburg, Winnie realized the apartheid policy imposed by the white minority was against the blacks. After completing her studies, she married Nelson Mandela and later joined the struggle against the white rule. In October 1958, Winnie Mandela participated in a mass action which mobilized women to protest against the apartheid government despite all the restrictions, arrests, intimidations and sentences slapped on her. Winnie is loved by many people in Africa for her struggle that led to the release of her husband Nelson Mandela and the liberation of South Africa. Many movements were formed and songs were sung as a solidarity for Winnie's struggle, including the popular South African singer Yvonne Chaka Chaka.
We spend a lot of time in each other's arms. Made up my mind, he will be my man. 'Cause I'm winning, I tell.
Nelson Mandela was released in 1990 after serving 27 years in jail and became the first South Africa's black president in 1994. Mandela appointed Winnie a minister and later the chairperson Women's League for African National Congress, ANC party. Unfortunately, Winnie and Nelson Mandela did not enjoy the fruits of their struggle till the end, as the two divorced in 1992 before Mandela became a president in 1994. Mandela died in 2013, and since then, Winnie went silent but remains a freedom fighter icon whose commitment will remain in the history of Africa. Makerere University will this Friday award her a honorary doctorate. Henry Okrut and Philip Aguta, UBC.
Well, thank you, Henry Okrut and Philip Agute there. Now, moving on to a worrying story. The public has been warned of fire outbreaks in different environments given the high temperatures and windy conditions within the country. The Director, Emergency Response and Rescue Services, Uganda Police, Joseph Mugisha, says people should be extra careful and conscious when using fire in this dry season. We do have details.
Last night, 2 children died in a fire that gutted a house around Lubigi in Nansana Town Council. Police say the mother to the 3 children had lit a charcoal stove before she left the house. The Police Director, Emergency Response and Rescue, Joseph Mugisa, urges households to adapt to safe cooking practices because during the dry season, temperatures are high.
Do not leave children on their own. Do not, by whatever means, cook inside the house and leave it to the kids to use. Do not leave your gas cooker to be used or to be operated by a child of 8 years, 3 years, 4 years. That would be unsafe. The same applies to an electric cooker. It would be unsafe to do so. And lastly, do not leave safe matchboxes and candles in the easy reach of children. Keep them away, lock them up before you leave the house so that they may not be tempted to use them. Because as you know, when they use them while playing, they can result into fire.
Places vulnerable to fire outbreaks include marketplaces, timber sales stores and wood workshops.
National parks during such a period. These are wildlife conservation areas, plus the assets that are there or the infrastructure they are in. Sugarcane plantations, highly vulnerable by virtue of what is there. Pine forests, highly vulnerable. Cattle farms, vulnerable. But even crop farms are also vulnerable during such a period. Markets, timber yards, wood workshops are also highly vulnerable, and the risk there is quite high of a fire outbreak.
Mugisa says this will help avert the occurrence of fires that are inevitable during dry and windy conditions. I'm Nafka Farida and Gloria Gwetaminji reporting.
Welcome to the Guest Corner. Once again, this is still News Tonight, and I'm Patricia Lukoma. And of course, in studio, I'm joined with one of our editors to discuss one of the topical stories that is topic the headlines, and that is the cancer machine, the new cancer machine that has been given to the health sector by the Director General of World Atomic Energy Agency. He is none other than Yoon Kin Chin. Well, of course, 2 years ago, one of the cancer machines at Mulago broke down, and that meant really chaos in the health sector. We saw a lot of patients being transferred to different hospitals, and this was quite a huge problem. But having the ambassador, Yukiya Amano, for his strong commitment is quite something. In studio here, I'm with Ahabiona Francisco to give us details on what his perception on this particular story. First and foremost, you've worked on this story. You've made the decision to top this story as one of the top stories
True.
in our bulletin.
True.
Why could that be the reason?
You know, cancer, before it was HIV/AIDS, the song went on, but now it is cancer. And cancer is now a health problem in the whole country, in the whole world. Earlier on, maybe we thought maybe our poor eating habits, but even the Europeans, the Americans also having a problem of cancer. So when it comes to Uganda, the issue of cancer becomes paramount.
True.
And when we are looking at it, it affects women, it affects our mothers, breast cancer, cervical cancer, everything, name it. When it comes to children, it's the same thing. We are told that our eating habits, our lifestyles, are partly maybe to blame for that. But what do experts say? Experts say that we have 800,000 cases of cancer. And you know, cancer is a
800,000 cases of cancer annually, or it's a general?
At a given time.
Okay.
We have that cancer, that figure.
Okay.
And what does that one mean? Those are the cases that have reported. We have, you know, here we have beliefs in so many things. We have belief in witchcraft. Someone, you wake up one day, you don't feeling well, then you say, I'm not feeling well, then you go to bed. Actually, the next time is that you have. You see you are developing something. And what is cancer? Cancer is an abnormal multiplication of cells in the body.
Okay.
It's caused by so many things.
Speaking like a true doctor.
True. Though I'm not a doctor, but I have that oversight.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to a journalist, and you see, we stand in between policy and the audience. And what does that mean? That for anything that happens, we must act as a link.
Exactly.
When the cancer, you see, 2 years ago, our cancer machine at the Radiotherapy Institute in Mulago broke down. And cases had to be flown to Nairobi, Kenya for treatment. What does that mean?
Chaotic.
My grandmother down, whose money I cannot afford, even transport, will not go to Nairobi, Kenya. Of course, they will tell you government does this, but there are those costs that are incurred by the caretakers, by whoever. Now that one becomes a problem. How do we look at that? Those cases affecting mothers, affecting children, affecting young people, in fact, the productive age usually get affected. We have lost so many people, we lose academicians, we lose all types. So when the cancer machine comes back now, 2 years later, and our patients will now have to go to Mulago for treatment, then it is something that is very important.
True. So what you're trying to say is that Ambassador Yukia Amano has really done something really nice, especially for the health sector. But now what we want to understand, what's the capacity of this cancer machine, to what you understand?
Experts tell us that for now, it will contain most of the cases at a given time.
Okay.
That means, you know, it's better when you have hope than no hope at all. You can queue knowing that when I get there, I'll get treatment. Other than waiting around, maybe a chance will fall on you, a dice will fall on you, and then you are flown to Kenya for treatment. And that one also has got economic impact on our lives, because government has to spend money to take patients outside and then bring back, look after them like that. But now it is here. So that one is catered for. In fact, it is a very good credit for Mulago Hospital, and maybe for government, especially for government. It has struggled because it knows what cancer does. Ministry of Health knows what cancer does to our population, and maybe to our population. We need to change a little bit about our lifestyles, how we live and how we eat.
Now, according to the story that we heard through the first segment of our bulletin, it looks like it would carry or take care of about 100 people a day. And I think that is quite a better number. I don't know whether we can compare that to the previous machine that broke down. But of course, at the moment, we are aware that at least this machine can cater to 100 people per day.
Yes, that's right. And you know, this time is digital age. Earlier on, we used to make phone calls. You to queue at a post office, book, and then later make a call. A few seconds, the call is over, and you have lost it. Now, here comes a machine which is going to have to handle 100 patients per hour. Now, this is a call. Most of our people are not yet aware of what is happening. And it is very important that information or word passes out, because even next door, people may not know who is suffering and what is happening. And it becomes a very big problem. Now, when these doctors now are working on our patients, cancer patients, it is going to be an important thing. And maybe another call, that some of these patients may go there and meet on wrong people, land on wrong people who mislead them, and it becomes a problem. Which now we think now, when these doctors come in and they know now that our patients are needy, in fact they are needy, we could even, although they are already vulnerable, we still place them in a vulnerable situation.
Yeah, you know, when you hear the sound of, you know, having a director commissioner for Atomic Energy Agency, it sounds like atomic bombs. And sometimes you wonder whether something so, shouting so that loud can bring out something beautiful. And I'm pretty much sure that this radiotherapy machine, which has been given to us by Ambassador Yukia Amano, we probably want to understand, you know, where does this gratification comes from? Where does this kindness come from? Do we have that strong relationship as Uganda and the ambassador himself? Or maybe what I can ask, what particular ties can we look at? Because he could come in and help the business sector. Why the health sector, and why now?
You know, health forms an integral part of the economy. And it is very important because a healthy nation will develop faster than a sick nation. Can you imagine one day you wake up and you can't go for work? You are unhealthy. That means you cannot proceed. No activity will take through. And in Uganda, especially in our economy, where we have got to rely on what happens daily. So what these international partners have in common is that they must ensure a healthy nation. And you see, Uganda may or may not afford, depending on our income and GDP. We may not afford that machine. But I'm sure this partnership,
it
this
is obvious we
relationship,
can't afford it. 2 years down the road, we still didn't have the machine.
yes,
anyway.
but this now relationship and partnership is going to help us a lot, achieve a lot in our health sector. And when our population is healthy, then believe you me, Uganda is going to develop further.
Thank you so much, Francisco
welcome.
Ahabiono. This is our editor. In fact, he's the very person that edited this bulletin tonight. Well, we're going to go for a very short break, but when we return, we still have more segments in News Tonight. Stay with us.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is News Tonight. Let's talk business now. And government needs to revise the regulation which seeks to enforce the shilling regime against the dollar in Uganda's property market. Now, while releasing the 2017 real estate market report, Judy Rugasira Chanda of Knight Frank Property Consultants said the move, if enforced by government, will lead to the stagnation of the sector. The 2017 Knight Frank Property Report shows a slow recovery in the property market. It also shows prospects of a significant growth in 2018.
Government should not apply knee-jerk reactions to complex and structural issues like the enforcement of the dollar versus shilling regime in the property market. While releasing of the Uganda Real Estate Market Update 2017, the Managing Director Knight Frank, Judy Rugasira Chanda, criticized the rental regime for threatening the recovery of Uganda's real estate sector in driving it full throttle into stagnation.
If as a landlord I'm charging US dollar rentals and the tenants feel that they can't afford it, they will go. And I will have to adjust accordingly. So government regulation has never really been the way forward in doing this because they even lack the mechanism in which to monitor how these laws are working or not working. There's never follow-up. There's never evaluation to see what's happening and what's not happening. So it is a hot potato. It is an issue that will continue to raise a lot of challenges. But I can assure you, enforcing Uganda shilling rentals is not what is going to bring the issue of unaffordability into check.
The new Real Estate Market Report 2017 shows a significant increase of activity in residential sector and also 10% increase in the inquiries of Grade A office space. However, the once thriving retail sector landscape of Kampala was affected in the second half of 2017 by the closure of Nakumatt stores and their subsequent liquidation.
Businesses, retail businesses, financial businesses, commercial businesses are impacted. They do close. Why do they close? Sometimes it is due to poor performing economies. More than likely, it's due to very poor management, bad financial planning, restructuring, expansion and growth that is not facilitated with the right plan. Sometimes it's also due to the lack of understanding of the market that people are operating in. There are numerous dynamic factors that impact on the closure of a business.
With Uganda's economy expected to grow by 5% in 2018, the property market is expecting to flourish. A high GDP growth will boost public investments, growth in consumption, and in turn impact positively on the property market. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Thanks, Dennis, for that report there. And we shall be going straight to look at what's happening in the sports world with Patricia Lukoma.
Well, thank you, Rukidi. There, moving on straight away into Chan. Uganda Cranes is playing Namibia tonight at Marrakesh Stadium in Morocco, a game many look at as a must-win if they are to progress past the group stages. The Namibia defeated Giants Ivory Coast, who tussled against Zambia in the first Group B game on Thursday. Cranes head coach Sebastian Dusabre has had Ismail Watenga start in goal. Milton Kalisa, Derek Nsibambe, Saddam Juma, Nicholas Wadada start tonight's game. A win for Uganda gives them 3 points and hope to still hold on until the last game. Kampala Capital City Authority FC has unveiled 6 new players ahead of the second round of 2017-2018 footballing session. Musana Hassan from Bol FC, Masiko Abubakare of Katale Soccer Club, and Ikara Thomas of Chirinya Ginger SS to boost the goalkeeping area of Akwalinga Solomon, formerly from Barara City, were unveiled at Philip Omonde Stadium in Lugogo.
Signing of the year. Daily.
And in our last story, the Nile Special Premiership Rugby League returns on Friday with table toppers Betway Coops entertaining Impes at Legend Rugby Club. It's a first versus 7th as toppers Betway Coops entertains the Yairo Kasasa tortured Makere Impes. After 7 rounds into the new season, Coops lead with 30 points. 2 better than second-placed Black Pirates, while Shell Remola Rhinos are third.
That's the pressure, China.
Well, that's it for News Tonight. Of course, that gives it a wrap. Thank you so much for being a part of us. Well, this is News Tonight. It comes to you every single day. And I'm Patricia Lukoma. Thank you so much for being a part of us.
I'm Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma. We do wish you a blessed night.
It's a good night. Bye-bye.